That's that perfect lighting.
What up, guys? This week we're gonna talk to you guys about these things.
Blue tongue skinks, specifically northerns. We're gonna show how we set them up, how you can set them up, and show off some cool animals, to show you guys what to expect when baby season rolls around.
Because it's right around the corner. Alright, so right now we're in the hot room, what we call the hot room. For reptile people, hot room means there's venomous in here. There's no venomous in here. It's just this room gets really hot because of all the racks, all the blue tongue skinks, and we keep bearded dragons and other, warmer climate animals here as well. But we wanted to talk to you guys about some simple requirements for the blue tongue skinks, some of the things that we do, how we take care of them, maybe some other options and how you could take care of them, and the differences between some of the different localities of blue tongue skinks.
Yeah, so we like to set all of our guys up in racks. Being that we do keep so many, it is very space efficient, and we're working with a limited amount of space. Racks work very well for both Australian species and Indonesian species. So this is how we keep them. I like to either keep them on cypress mulch or aspen or eco earth. There's a bunch of different substrates you can keep. Here's an example of one. So this is one of my northerns. She's kept in cypress mulch, a big water bowl. These guys are very big drinkers, so you're gonna always want fresh water in there. And I always give them a hide, because even though they can burrow under the cypress mulch, it's good to give them options. They sometimes end up under the cypress mulch or in the tube itself. So you can see, pretty simple setup.
Yeah, and guys, this cypress mulch you could actually get at Home Depot, but you gotta make sure you get the one that has no added chemicals or anything. This one's called No Float here in Florida. I'm not aware if they sell this in other parts of the country, but it's good because it's really cheap, it's easy to clean up, and it's like a natural substrate that they could burrow in and stuff. Now sometimes, like for example in these racks, the cypress mulch, when it comes, is kind of humid, and for the northerns you don't want it to be too humid. You got to make sure that it has ventilation. Now obviously we keep them in rack because we're breeders, but if you're keeping, let's say, like a pet blue tongue skink, you could set it up in a really nice 40-gallon tank. You could put the cypress mulch, you could give them a heat lamp and a UV if you want. They don't require it because here in captivity we keep them with the heat tape or the heat mat underneath. They require a hot spot of around 90-95 degrees. So basically these guys, they're gonna need to thermoregulate on their own. So only one part of the tank should be 90-95 degrees on the surface temperature. That way, that warm belly temperature is gonna help them digest. And the other side of the enclosure shouldn't be that warm. It shouldn't all be 95 degrees. There should be one spot that's 90-95 degrees, and then the other spot maybe in the 80s or even high 70s is fine. And that's for pretty much both Indonesian and Australian.
Yeah, the only difference with the Indonesian being that you do want higher humidity. They come from Papua New Guinea, which is just naturally more higher humidity than northern Australia. For blue tongue skinks, you kind of want a humidity of around 50%, maybe even 60. For the Indonesians, you want it higher, 80%. But you can keep them the exact same way. The only difference I treat them is I spray the rack or the cage down every few days or so to keep the humidity up. And you can tell if your animal doesn't have the proper humidity, it'll start shedding bad, especially around the toes. It's gonna get very stuck and can even take off some of the toes as well.
Yeah, so that's why it's important not just to know what kind of species of blue tongue skink you have, because like we were saying, the Indonesians are going to require a little bit higher humidity, and Indonesian being Irian Jaya, Maruki, Key Island,
and a few others.
So you got to know what skink you have, and you also got to keep in mind the type of caging and where you live, because a cage like this, with a rack system like this, we can't spray it down nearly as much as we can on a glass terrarium, because the humidity is not going to escape in this as easy as it is in a glass enclosure.
One of the things that makes these guys very easy to take care of and a great beginner reptile is their diet. So in the wild, blue tongues are opportunistic feeders. They're eating all kinds of plant matter, insects, dead animals, even poop, believe it or not. These guys
just like dogs.
Yeah, just like dogs, and that takes us to the next point. What we feed all of our blue tongue skinks is wet dog food, from babies to adults. Wet dog food, in my opinion, is the perfect balance for these guys for what their needs are. You know, and we also add multivitamins and calcium as well. So it makes it very easy, you know, because dog food is readily available everywhere, and it's pretty affordable as well, and it just makes for such a great diet. And don't just take it my word for it, take it from a bunch of other breeders from either here in the United States or in Australia who've been breeding these guys for multiple generations on only wet dog food and having great success, not just keeping the original parents alive, but also their future offspring as well.
Yeah, and the brand of dog food that we feed is called Nature's Logic, but we have fed Pedigree, even Pedigree in the past. You know, we fed a bunch of different types of dog food. We also feed Repashy Grub Pie and Repashy Bluey Buffet, which are specially made for these animals, and they're great diets. It's basically like a powder you mix with boiling water, mix a gel, and you just feed that to them. They go crazy over that stuff. So there's a lot of, you know, there's a lot of options when it comes to these guys. You can feed them certain vegetables, you know, carrots. You can mix in a little bit of fruit in their little dog food or in their diet. You know,
they love eggs.
They eat pretty much everything. So insects, you know, they eat almost everything. But dog food is a staple that we use and what we recommend,
and that we've had a lot of success with. Another thing you guys should keep in mind when, you know, if you're shopping for a blue tongue skink or you want one, is these guys do live a long time. If kept properly, they can live upwards of 30 years. You know, that's a big commitment. So, you know, if you guys want one, make sure you're ready to take care of that animal for the 30 years, for its entire life. When you handle them, they can make very rewarding pets, kind of like a bearded dragon. As you can see, this girl's not skittish at all, not aggressive, and she's even hopefully pregnant. These guys are very curious animals, gonna wander everywhere.
Yeah, and like Manny was saying, they make really good pets. We actually recommend them as beginner pets as well because they're so hardy. They're a very, very tough animal, and you know, they're easy to take care of. They don't require much. They you know, the setup is fairly simple. The food, you know, doesn't get easier than like dog food, and you know, super tame, super docile by nature. Obviously the babies could be a little bit more feisty because anything in the wild that's, you know, this small is gonna have some sort of like defense mechanism.
Either it has to be fast or aggressive, because if not, you won't survive.
Yeah, but when the babies grow up, they do pretty well. They tame down very, very quick. They figure out you're not gonna kill them, and yeah, they make great pets. So this brings us to our next topic, which is probably one of the most exciting things, and it's the breeding of these animals. Blue tongue skinks in particular are a little bit harder to breed because they are very hard to sex up until they're bigger. There are some telltale signs, but you don't really know for sure until you actually pair them up.
Yeah, and blue tongues breeding is not for the faint of heart. These guys are very aggressive breeders, especially northerns.
Somebody posted a picture of a blue tongue that got its arm ripped during the breeding season.
Yeah, that happens a lot, and you know, literally when we breed these guys, we literally have to sit there and watch them to make sure that they don't kill each other.
Yeah, this is not like a, you know, some gecko that you could just put the geckos in a bin and, you know, wait for them to lay eggs. It's nothing like that. You kind of have to do it one by one and watch them, or have a couple going at a time and make sure you're keeping an eye on them because you don't want them to start fighting. In the wild, they kind of just meet up. The male, if he's vigorous enough, he'll grab a female, he'll breed her, and then he's on his way and she's on his way, and that's it. So they're not, you know, very social animals. You don't keep blue tongue skinks together, and that's why the breeding can be a little bit rough.
Yeah, and especially when you're trying to figure out what sex blue tongue you have, because they are really, really hard even to sex as adults. You gotta pair them up, and in case you got like two males or something, because they'll go after each other right away trying to kill each other. So it's very important that if you want to breed, you kind of sit there and watch them, how they react. The cool thing is they're live bearers. You know, it's very cool always with reptiles. You know, we're always used to dealing with eggs and worrying about eggs going bad. With live bearers, you don't have any of that. The only thing is you don't know that they're truly, truly pregnant until they give birth. One day, you know, we're just here feeding animals, and then you open up a bin and boom, babies.
That's one of the best things about the blue-tongue skinks is that they're, you know, live bearers, so you don't have to incubate eggs. You don't have to worry about the substrate of the eggs being good or not, or the eggs going bad. And when they do give birth, they could give anywhere from 1 baby to how many?
20? So like 15, 16. I've even seen up to 23.
Yeah. So it's that's for the northerns.
Northerns, yeah. Easterns generally give a little bit more. You know, it varies per species, but mainly talking about northerns, my average like litter size is about like 5 or 6.
And we have, as you can see, a bunch of females.
These are the female Rex, all girls.
Yeah, all those females pretty much bred. So we should have, we're expecting a lot of babies from classic pairings, from high red pairings. What else? Even some high white pairings.
Yep, white stuff, high contrast, sunrise, sunset. You name it, man. I love these. We love these guys, so we have a little bit of everything and should expect a little bit of everything with the babies. So we're gonna show you some of the different like lines of blue tongues that we're working with. Here is a dark classic. This guy's name is Pumpkin. Oh, right here. There he is.
Yep.
So just has more black than a regular blue tongue skink. He also has really nice oranges as well. So we paired him up with a couple dark females, a couple red females. So we're hoping this guy makes some gorgeous red high contrast babies.
Yeah, he's just got out of shed, so he's, you know, looking his prettiest right now.
So one of the cool things we got in this year are some Swedish line northerns from the UK.
Yeah. So why you're holding the camera weird? Look, this thing is so freaking gorgeous. The reason why we got these animals is because they got some crazy orange coloration, and we wanted to mix it in with some of our Homer stuff and all of our, you know, some of our Ron Kudo lines that we got from him. And the orange on these follow up from the tail basically all the way up to the head. That's why we think, you know, it was gonna be a good match for them. And we're excited that we actually got them before all this Australia ban stuff happened. So we're lucky to be working with them and can't wait for them to produce babies. This girl bred, so hopefully she'll give us some babies. Alright, so one of our most exciting projects when it comes to the blue tongue skinks are the white or hypo-ish or whatever they are, northerns.
Yeah, so I have two different northerns right here. This one on the right is Miami Snow. It's a Turner white. These babies are born normal, and as they get older, they just get more white and more white. Miami Snow is actually an exceptional example of what this morph can be. And then over here, I have White Walker. White Walker actually has no white in his genetics, yet he turned out white caramel coloration. He's actually from red and orange parents. So hopefully he turns out to be some kind of hypo, which would be really cool, you know, to play with. But, you know, we're still trying to prove it out, so it still might be some time. But these are our two most, like, sought after or, like, northerns that people want to see the most. So this guy right here is my absolute favorite blue tongue I have in the collection. His name is Homer. He is a sunrise outcross blue tongue skink from Ron Kudo, a friend of ours down in Miami. And this guy was one of my first northerns and really did it for me, man. After I got this guy, I was like, wow, I absolutely fell in love, and now we're at where we're at.
Yeah. And this is Homer. This is the guy that whenever somebody comes over and wants to see a blue tongue skink, or we want to, you know, show off how good of a pet they can make, we pull out Homer. He is basically, aside from being visually so freaking beautiful, he is one of the sweetest blue tongue skinks, and he's a great breeder. He bred for us this season, and we're expecting a lot of babies from him. Alright, and last but certainly not least, we got a little surprise for you guys.
This is Sleepy. Sleepy is the albino blue tongue skink.
When you see his tongue flick, by the way, it's pink instead of blue because albinism takes away all the dark pigment from an animal, and you know, it leaves these bright, beautiful colors that you see on Sleepy here. But yeah, take it away.
Yep. This is one of the rarest morphs in the United States. This is just an irregular albino, but you can see very beautiful animals. I've wanted one of these ever since I saw him in, like, I would say like 2007 or 2010. You know, in Australia, all those Australians having all the fun, but now we get to mess with some of these albino genes, and It's just visually one of the coolest blue tongues in existence.
Yeah, and shout out to JC. He's our friend that, you know, owns this animal, and he's allowing us to try to breed him. So far, we haven't had any luck because we kind of got him a little late in the season, but that's okay. We're going to hold him to next year, see if we can make some 100% heads. And he's supposed to be kind of like a, is he an Eastern or a hybrid?
He's
like
an
a mix?
Eastern. I'm not sure if he's a mix. Honestly, it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
But he's definitely on the smaller side, nowhere near the size of Northerns.
Yeah.
So that's why I just call him an albino blue tongue skink, because we're not sure exactly if he's pure or if he's mixed. In Australia, what some people do is cross them to Northerns, because albino Easterns are not very vigorous animals and they're very weak, and especially as babies they can die. So what they did was they mixed it with Northerns to make them stronger, healthier babies.
Yeah, and pull out like a normal Eastern so you can see the difference. Because, you know, the albino, like I'm telling you, like all the whites and all the oranges you see on that animal are because of the albinism, and the Easterns, they're actually just as gorgeous but in a different way. They're dark, they got these eye bands on them, but you could see night and day difference, literally. Like this isn't a normal Eastern.
This is exactly the New South Wales form.
Yeah, this is a New South Wales Eastern, and then Sleepy over here is an albino. Alright guys, hope you learned a thing or two about blue tongue skinks in this video. If you did, feel free to leave a thumbs up and a comment.
And hit the subscribe button down below, and make sure you follow us on our Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter. You know, we're posting individual content on all those social medias about blue tongues, about everything that we work with. So make sure you follow us and check it out.
Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next Saturday. Don't forget to check out the website if you're looking for, you know, any reptiles or our merch was good with these shirts. Also, don't forget to support USARK. They're the ones who, you know, fight for us to keep reptiles here in the US. There's, believe it or not, a lot of people that don't want us to. So thanks for watching. See you guys next week. Boom. This is because she bred to one of, wait, damn, let's do that again. Alright, so one of our, we'll let you know what happens. Stay up with the program. What the hell am I even saying? Stay